Welcome back to the Name Redacted podcast, America's most beloved podcast, the most downloaded Red Sox podcast in the world.
No.
What?
Come on.
What?
Are you kidding me after what we just watched?
Who fucking cares about the games?
I don't care, but I don't want to listen to the positivity horn either. I just want to be numb. Play the Okajima song, okay? Can we play something we enjoy?
I'll play the Okajima song, but listen, if you're still getting boo-hoo bullshit about the games, grow up.
I'm not
the games
bullshit.
stop
I'm
mattering
over it.
Whenever pick a time that you ruin the fucking season, like that's when the season was over.
It makes me ill watching this right now.
Then stop watching. Who cares?
I can't.
Tyler, I need you to focus. I need you to look at me. Look at me right now.
I'm looking at you. I'm looking you in the eyes.
Look at me right now.
I'm looking at you hard.
You looking?
Real hard.
You looking?
Yeah.
We're on to 2024 already.
I know.
And no, you don't know because you're being a little fucking whiny baby back bitch about the, oh no, they lost in your ways. They got shut out by the Tampa Bay Rays. Who fucking cares? The season's been over for a month and a half. We need to start being positive about where this team is going because it's a dead body. They're just trotting it out there right now, being like, oh yeah, they're playing out the string. I don't give a flying fuck if they lose every game for the rest of the year. Doesn't bother me.
You should root for that.
I don't care. I don't care. I do not care.
I'm rooting for losses.
If you're, you know what? I don't even want to draw this line in the sand. I don't even want to be the guy that's like, oh, if you're a real fan, this, and if you're a real fan, that, like it should bother you if they're losing games. No. If you're a real fan, we're all real fans. If you're listening to this podcast right now, then you're consuming Red Sox content after another last place finish. Actually, you know what? Before I start to make the point about like drawing the line in the sand with the fans, would you believe me, Tyler, if I told you that in the last 12 years, the Red Sox have finished in last place more than any other team in baseball?
Yeah, it feels that way. The ups and downs and it does, and
no,
the whiplash back and forth.
No,
it does.
Like the Pittsburgh. Like if I was like, hey, think of all like the shitty teams over the last decade, like the Pittsburgh Pirates, like the fucking Colorado Rockies, the Oakland A's, and I know the A's were winning. I get that, but like think of all like the shitty teams that just like never win ever. The Red Sox have finished in last place more than all those teams.
It's definitely like you think about those teams, but the Andrew McCutchen days with the Pirates, the Rockies, yikes. But I think for Red Sox fans, that's where a lot of frustration does come from the last, call it 10 years or so, where you do have these rings, but it's that whole reason you brought Chaim Bloom here in the first place. The whole direction you kind of set yourself in after 2019 was we just want to be sustainable. We want to be good every single year. We want to get out of this rut. Well, the reality is 3 last place finishes in the last 4 years. You've kind of rode that same train and you haven't gotten away from it. I just want to get to the point where it doesn't feel like it's either everything went well or it was a really good year or it was horrendous and we all have mental trauma and we're depressed and we hate our lives. I just want to be consistently in the conversation and good. I want to be better than that. I want to push for a World Series, right? But yeah, the whiplash of it over the years. Think about how many annoying ass seasons we've had. Seasons where you've kind of sat there and been like, fuck, man. Like, Jesus, that was ugly. September was worthless. There's been a lot of those, too. But, hey, you have World Series rings. I'm not sitting here saying, feel bad for us. Woo, boo-hoo, yada, yada.
All right, it's more, and I've asked this question before. I'd like to revisit it now after yet another last place finish. But would you rather be the Red Sox since 2010 or the Dodgers? Where you're just...
Red Sox got rings.
Okay, then. But like if you break it down, it's an interesting conversation because the Dodgers do have one ring. It was in a COVID season, so you couldn't even be there to enjoy it, which is a punishment in its own. But my and I'm not advocating for this. I'm not saying I would pick the Dodgers, but if I were to play devil's advocate and argue the Dodgers side of it, the regular season is 6 months. The postseason is 1 month. And it's if you win the World Series, it is one great month. It is it's stressful, but in the end, it is an excellent, fun, best time of your life type month. But the larger sample is a regular season. Being a 95 to 100 win team for 6 months That's fucking great. That's half your goddamn year where you're on top of the world, first place. Like being a Dodger fan, and I get it. It's like, all right, yeah, you want to like you doesn't mean anything if you don't win the World Series. I get it. I'm just talking about percentage of my year consumed by being a winner. And if you're a Dodgers fan, a large percentage of your time watching baseball, you get to be a winner. You don't always end this. Quite often, you never get to end the season as a winner. But that's the discussion. If I were to argue that side of it, being a Dodger fan, having that existence of you first place every single year, just beating that ass all season long, all summer long, and then you get to the playoffs and you roll the dice. Being a Red Sox fan, man, nothing can top 2004. Tyler will sit there and tell you that 2007 was the best championship season in professional sports history. 2013, what a year. I mean, to win that title, for what that meant to the city of Boston, you can never take that away. 2018, winningest team in franchise history, just beating that ass all summer long, all year long, and capping it off with a title. But then there's just years like this where I'm fucking sick of it. And I want to have that dialogue with you on this episode in particular, which is why I started the show with the positivity horn, because I do think that it's time to turn the page and stop dwelling about fucking getting shut out by the Tampa Bay Rays in a season where you're going to finish in last place. Who gives a fuck? And just start mentally looking towards next year. I don't think that it's too early to start looking towards next year. I don't feel that way. I feel like, all right, we're still playing the 2023 season, but it's been over. I'm done. I'm done with it.
100% in that sense. Like I think all of us, like, scroll up and down my Twitter page, you'll see Yamamoto highlights on, every couple days, whatever it may be. We're dreaming about what this offseason is going to be. Listen to the fucking podcast, right? The last month or so, or call it a couple weeks, we've been doing free agent talk, front office talk, who's going to slide in, slide where. I do think when you talk about, the devil's advocate of that Dodgers side, there are a lot of similarities to what Yankees fans have gone through. Now, the Dodgers went and got a ring, right? Like, that's the difference. Yankee fans haven't won, but Yankees fans have been in the conversation just about every single year, kind of getting right to that point before getting knocked down. And you see how miserable that entire fan base is, how much they bitch, how angry they are. And I think while you have a lot of those winning seasons for the Dodgers that got you to the playoffs, the sting of those teams disappointing as much as they did for so many years, that's why 2020 meant so much. And it's why when you tell Dodgers fans that year didn't mean anything, I'm not one of those people, but they get as upset as they do, because that sting lasts an entire offseason when you had the best record in baseball. Everyone said you were the most dominant team. You went crazy at the trade deadline and got all those pieces, and you still weren't able to do it. Everyone calls you the best organization in baseball, and then it just felt like you're constantly coming up short. Say what you will about those championship years in 2013 and 2018. Till this day, throughout this offseason, there'll be a day where people listening to this, Jared, I know you will, you'll pop a World Series DVD in your TV and you'll sit there and relive those memories. We'll be tweeting out.
I do it
Red
every
Sox.
New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, I usually, like, when the ball drops, I'm watching like World Series highlights from some championship year.
That's it. And you look in October, we'll be all tweeting our favorite moments from 2018, 2013, 07, 04. That's kind of the, ritual. Even when you are in the playoff conversation, you do that because you look so fondly. And I think back to 2013 and 2018, being at those parades, bro, those memories, and Jared, your memories fucking dunk on mine.
I don't have memory of the A team.
Fair point. The videos you can see to kind of connect the dots. Like, those, and just being at those parades, I know for people in the city, friends, those things I've gone through, those hold on so much more than just one day. And those feelings over the offseason where you could talk your shit, where no one could fucking say a word. Jared, when you were in prime shit talking era where you could just give it and shove it to people, you cooked over those off seasons. There's nothing anybody could say to you. I think those, even with the ups and downs, still give you more than just consistently being good. But you hope to combine those two things. Because, if the Dodgers pull out another ring here, then the whole conversation kind of switches and you're like, oh, all right, well, we got a couple rings, way different picture. Right now with the Red Sox having two, and you call it the last 12 years, I'll take that over teams that haven't matched that number of rings.
I had that conversation with someone recently where they were talking about the content that I make now compared to the content that I was making in the 2018 postseason. And that just like that summer. And they're just like, that doesn't even like that's not you like that. Like I feel like that's a completely different person than who you are now. And I asked them, I said, do you think I've matured or do you think the Red Sox just haven't given me a reason?
I think it's a little of both. I hate to say it.
I think no, you're right. I think I have matured a little bit.
You're in your 30s now. You go back to 2018. You're what, 29?
Yeah, like yes, I've matured a little bit, but you're telling me that if the Red Sox finish in first place and win 100 plus games and are just steamrolling motherfuckers in the playoffs, that you don't think that I won't be an obnoxious asshole? Of course I will.
I think you will. I think it'll just be in a more, what's the word? Not a fancy way, but maybe a more just nut dropping in a classy way.
I don't think I'll be classy. I just don't think that I'll be combative. I'll talk my shit, but I think
one way. It'll be a one-way shit talking.
Yeah, it's just different, like without hubs. But I think personally, I think if the next postseason run includes the Yankees, the embargo has been lifted. Maybe I will just make content with hubs if that becomes the thing again. But that's kind of something that I've been trying to incorporate more on Baseball is Dead. Is like I have a lot of friends that are fans of different teams and just bringing them into that circle because I think there's the national perspective, but then I think if you're a fan listening to the podcast and it's like I want to make sure that my voice is heard too, and it's like all right, cool. Like we had Tex on today. He's fucking nuts, but he's a huge Astros fan. It's like we can talk about the Astros and whatever, but we're all talking about like a neutral national perspective, and then you have that psycho on and he'll talk about the Astros as an Astros fan. I think it's great.
It's the same idea as when people listen to this podcast. Like when we sit here and we read the shit that comes out every single day, right? We're seeing what the Globe's posting, what the little fucking rumors are back and forth. It's just a different level of knowledge and you connect dots differently. You can only do so much when you're sitting here, even if you do a national show like you do, where I'm not going to have as good of a feel for the Diamondbacks as someone who's a diehard D-backs fan doing what we do, but over there.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing. There. Tell me one fucking time you've encountered a Diamondbacks fan. And I've been on Twitter since 2009, and I've been tweeting baseball for the entire time. I don't think I've ever encountered a D-backs fan. Not one. I went to their stadium and never saw one.
I am thinking very, very hardly right now. Have you ever met a Rockies fan? Like
yes.
A legit Rockies fan?
Yep.
Okay, so I haven't,
Rockies
to my memory, come across
Rockies fans. They show up. Like,
do they?
Yep. So, they've got this big ass like bar restaurant in right center, and they on weekends they draw like their attendance numbers. If you were to pull up their weekend, like I don't think that there's any website that you can do this, but if you could draw up their weekend attendance numbers, they would probably be like top 10 in the league. Even in a year,
it's a beautiful ballpark.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I that is a very fair point. I've seen pictures. I had a buddy who was there like maybe a couple weeks ago, and he sent me like the skyline. I was like, all right, I can fucking see it.
Yeah, it's sick.
But if Dick Monfort owned my fucking team, I'd be so mentally destroyed. I know people complain about John Henry, but holy shit, you want to talk about an organization that's corrupt and being run wrong? They are right there with any other organization, the A's, whoever you want to call it. And it's just never going to get better over there because nobody gives a fuck.
No. And yeah, but I think to the fans' point, they're there for the atmosphere. They're like, they just love baseball. They don't care.
Go get drunk.
Yeah. It's like, it's great atmosphere. They get the bar restaurant. The Rockies are playing. We're all high. It's Colorado. It's Denver, baby. But
that'd be crazy if you could actually smoke inside the ballpark.
They clearly do.
Are we talking about a cartridge or are we talking about like legit shit?
Probably both.
I've heard rumors of people sneaking things into Fenway to smoke.
Yeah, but it's friendly Fenway.
Friendly Fenway?
Yeah, it's a smoke-free environment. Speaking of smoke, things are heating up in the ballpark.
That was good.
Yeah, every team is playing to finish the season strong and make it to the playoffs, except for the Red Sox. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you won't miss a moment of the baseball action. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets by betting just $5 on baseball. Plus, all customers can take a crack at a sweet payday with DraftKings same-game parlays. String together multiple bets from a single game for your shot at a major payout. So what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code Jared, Jared. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on baseball, only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code Jared. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance, opt-in, and 10-plus leg requirement for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. One more point that I want to make about, 2018 Jared versus today Jared. It's almost like the Red Sox being in last place in the last 2 years. Like, I know that I can be a content showman. I know that I can rise to the occasion and deliver the goods when the moment calls for it. But when they're in last place, there's only so much I can do. Like, I can't talk my shit. I'm not going to be going out to Fenway this October and making video content. Like, it totally snips my nuts. Like, I don't have the opportunity to do something. And it's very similar to it's like Mike Tyson having to be in a boxing tournament, but you have to do it handcuffed. It's like, well, that's impossible. Like, you have
the nuts
all
are out
this,
of the scrotum.
You have all this power, you have all this will to fight and put on a show and dominate. But it's like, well, I physically can't do it. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm handcuffed. That's what it feels like for me, for the Red Sox being in last place back-to-back years. Like, I would love to be at playoff games at Fenway Park, making video content and doing all kinds of shit surrounding the Red Sox. But, I mean, the most last place finishes in Major League Baseball over the last dozen years. Sucks.
And then you throw into it, right? Like, it'd be one thing if you were playing spoiler and you were like really just fucking some teams over. Maybe you could have a little fun. You could smile once in a while.
Not even
You're
doing
friggin' 7-17 this month. Like, last year's team was 12-14. You remember how bad last September was, where we'd get on here and be like, dog, I don't know what the fuck we were going to talk about. We're watching Connor Siebold get his fucking shit kicked in for the fifth time.
Siebold.
Nice guy.
Great
but
dude.
God, man, it was bad. It was ugly. I still remember that Orioles start last year. Somehow this team has come down to the ground and hit it harder than last year's team. And we thought that team looked as lifeless as any team could look besides the last series of that year. This team, man, they are as dead gets. The Alex Verdugo checkout, it's spread all the way throughout the team. And
he'll be gone.
Personally,
he'll be gone.
Of clearly. But, I don't think it's the greatest look for Cora. I think he'd acknowledge that himself, just how it looks right now. You've lost 16 out of your last 20. That's where it comes down to me. I don't listen. The losses, keep giving them. I tweeted out the lottery stuff yesterday. I believe right now the Guardians, they have a game and a half on you for the 11th spot, or 11th worst record in the entire sport. The teams in front of you, the Mets, are going to get friggin' booted because they're over the luxury tax. So you have a real shot to get into the lottery here. That's what I'm focused on, because that affects the bonus pool and all those things. So keep losing. Just give me something to smile about. What? Craig Breslow. Go ahead.
I don't have anything to add on that.
I thought you're not going to name a player?
Oh, you wanted to Craig Breslow for the Red Sox lottery?
I don't know. You played the lottery sound. Did you hit the wrong button?
No, I didn't. You said lottery, so I did the fucking lottery sound. You get it?
Good point. Good point.
Is this guy fucking serious, Jake?
Jake, don't even.
All the listeners are going to be like, that was insane.
Listen, for the people who listen to this podcast, I want to let you know Me and Jake have very sweet conversations before Jared shows up. And when Jared shows up, he encourages this bad behavior, this bullying.
Bad behavior?
You pull something out of Jake that doesn't exist when you're not around.
Well, you said something stupid, and I asked Jake to confirm. I was like, did I hear that stupid fucking thing that Tyler just said? And then Jake's like, well, yeah. Like, I'm just making sure that you heard it correctly. Like, yes, you heard it correctly. It's not bullying. I'm more just asking for confirmation when you say stupid shit.
Spare me.
There are some Red Sox topics to talk about that I feel like are very interesting. I know that I said off the top, let's be positive, and then we kind of just did a little sob story. But I don't even think it's a sob. I'm just saying, I'm not happy. Like, I would love this time of year. I actually, you know what? Let me see if this makes sense. This was like a thought that I had the other day driving. Where
were you driving to?
Where was I driving to? What's today? Oh,
Wednesday.
Probably into the office then. Maybe.
Continue.
There's like a certain feeling you get around Christmas time where it's just like, it just feels different, or the holiday season. Not to, if you don't celebrate Christmas, not to make you feel excluded from the conversation. Around the holiday season. Are you Jewish?
No.
Okay. You celebrate Christmas?
I do.
Okay. So you know what I'm talking about Santa and all that shit.
I've heard of him.
Okay. So there's that certain feeling when you're little, when you're younger, that holiday spirit, you get excited about it and you're like, oh, it's that fucking time again. Let's go. And for me, you get older and you don't feel that way about the holiday season anymore. I feel about the postseason. I feel like I get that, like, oh, it's October, like, let's go. But I don't necessarily feel that when the Red Sox aren't in it. So it's almost like I was trying to mentally go back in time to 2021, the most recent time, where it just feels different. Like, you feel like at the end of a long season when you're just grinding through it, hours and hours of podcasts and all this other shit, and you're just fucking tired because you've been doing it all year. But then it's like, oh man, the Red Sox are about to play in the playoffs. But you feel invincible. Like, you feel like
your whole day is built around those 3 hours. Everything is about those 3 hours.
You can sleep for 3 hours and it doesn't matter, because you wake up and the first thing you think of is, oh fuck, the Red Sox are playing in the playoffs tonight. Like, fucking Nathan Eovaldi's on the bump tonight in the playoffs for the Red Sox. It doesn't matter. Like, I could be sick, I could be exhausted, and my body is in God mode because the Red Sox are in the playoffs. Like, you can't fuck with me. Like, I won't name I won't name the year just because I don't want to name any specific timeline down. There was a year the Red Sox were in the playoffs where the girl that I was dating was cheating on me the entire month. I had no fucking clue, dude. I was so locked in on the Red Sox playoff run that I was just like, I didn't even figure it out until
all right, I thought you were just like, you know what? If she's fucking guys, I don't give a fuck. I got plans tonight.
Like, she was being all the writing was on the wall. Like, she was being super distant. Like, didn't want to talk on the phone after like 8 p.m. Was just like, no, I just started like reading books. Like, I just really got into like reading books.
Got a library card.
Yeah. Just like all the red flags in the world. Like, oh, she's fucking someone else. But I was just like, don't care. Sox, playoffs, like, let's go. Got to be at Fenway. I'm like locked in. So that's just where my mind goes. Like, I miss that. I miss like when the calendar turns to October, that my body experiences an energy that you can't buy it. You can't. I mean, maybe you could. I don't know. I've never done drugs. Maybe it is a feeling similar to doing drugs. I have no idea. But there's no amount of coffees or amount of fucking energy drinks that you can crush in a day that gives you that euphoria, that anxiety, that energy of the Red Sox are in the playoffs. And I fucking miss that, Tyler. And I think I can't promise you the playoffs next year. I can't promise you that. But to reference other things that we've said during the podcast in the last couple of weeks here, I've had some conversations with people that make me feel like, hey, we're going to try. Like we're going to spend. We're going to make a concerted effort here to flip the Red Sox narrative on its head, because I think John Henry and the Red Sox owners and Sam Kennedy, the president and CEO of the Boston Red Sox, I think that they're seeing what we see. And what we're seeing is a fan base that, I mean, we've seen years where the Red Sox was at its absolute peak. The hype of the Red Sox was maxed out. I think we've seen it where Red Sox Nation was so fucking angry and pissed off. Where we're at right now, in my lifetime, in my years of being either just a fan or doing it professionally, I think we are at a level of all-time apathy. I don't think we've ever been in this position before, where they're not hyped, they're not angry, they're not revolting. There is, and I'm not saying it's universal. There's still a lot of Red Sox fans that do care, that give a shit about the direction of the team. But I think that we have reached a level of apathy that I've never seen before, at least in my lifetime. And if you're Sam Kennedy, if you're John Henry, you've got to see that and say, fuck, we've got to do something about this. I don't think it's an emergency, but it's about as close as you can get to being like, hey, we need to do something drastic to bring the people back in. And we've seen this team do that before multiple times. They've had off seasons where it's like, all right, change the course. 2006 to 2007. All right, big off season. Bang. Spend a bunch of money. And you know, and not to repeat myself, stuff that we've said on previous podcasts, having a big offseason doesn't always change the course in one winter. Sometimes it
usually
backfires.
It doesn't.
Sometimes it does. 2006 to 2007 it worked.
Sometimes. But usually the winner of the offseason, you end up sitting there and you're saying, all right, those weren't exactly the team that was left standing at the very end of it, right?
Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez. Didn't work.
Yeah. Mets, Padres. That's all anyone could fucking talk about over the offseason. Look where they are now.
Yeah.
But I do think that outlook is very fair from what you said.
Uh-huh.
And I think that went into the whole Chaim Bloom situation as well here, right? Where I think just people had kind of accepted, even the biggest Bloom haters were like, Chaim's going to be here, whether you liked him or not. For the people that didn't like him, they had said, all right, Chaim's going to be here. John Henry and ownership have picked this path. Like, this is just kind of what Red Sox baseball is. And a lot of people were starting to say, I'm good. I don't care about them. I don't want to go to the games. That's why you see the fan take over, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, whoever it is. But I do think, and while it doesn't justify the Chaim firing, and we've talked about our feelings on it a million times, you can go back and listen to the episode. You know, we don't have to keep reciting our takes, but I do think they were hoping to buy some of that fan interest back to give those people that were completely out on the team a reason to kind of tune back in or have faith. I think it did play a part in that decision. And the other thing I'll throw in here, what Alex Cora said today, I don't know if you caught it on EEI during his interview, was like one of the power statements we've got in the last couple of weeks. If you want to throw in what Sam Kennedy said the other day, I think, or, you know, when Bloom got fired talking about chasing championships, I think what Cora said today about the winter meetings and him being like, dude, you know what? The family, we're talking. I think I'm probably going to be up here for, 3 weeks around the time of the winter meetings because we got business to handle. And I'm paraphrasing a bit there. But to hear Alex Cora say that based on what the strategy has been the last couple off seasons, that's like, oh, fuck. The Red Sox are going to go into the winter meetings and they're going to say, fucking watch me. Watch what we're about to do here. We're going to be having meetings. We're going to be going crazy. We're all in. Everyone's kind of tuned in here. That's exciting. And that's the kind of foreshadowing you don't give unless you know, ownership, whoever's going to come in, to be ahead of Cora, the POBO, CBO, whatever you want to call them. That's the push. That's what the page is. That's what everyone's looking at that's in the organization right now. And whoever gets hired is going to be right on that same page. They're going to be told, this is what you're doing. Follow suit. Do it, maybe in the way you think is best, you and Cora, however you kind of come across. But dollars are going to be fucking spent because we cannot afford another year of people just not caring. Like 2024 is about Red Sox ownership clearly trying to win fans back. And that's why you're seeing the little leaks, the little connections I think we're seeing over the last couple days or even the last couple weeks, connecting them to Shohei Ohtani. Like, They want you to care. They are trying to get you hungry. They want you following these names. They want you to treat it like you used to treat off seasons back in the day. That's what ownership wants. They want that kind of interest where you see a big name and you're saying, Red Sox? Can I picture that guy on there? And I think in a lot of ways, even, before Heim got fired, we all agreed you needed that kind of offseason. Well, here we go. Now it's just down to execution.
I'm looking at Facebook memories right now.
What do you got?
12 years ago, September 27th, 2011.
Oh,
I was Jared Carabas is at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. 14 years ago, September 27, 2009. Money can't buy you love, but it can buy you an AL East title. Congrats, Girardi. Must have been really difficult to manage all that homegrown talent.
Jesus.
Yeah. September 27th, 2008, 15 years ago. Jared Carabas is, the Yankees would do something like that. $207 million golf team assholes.
Okay, why is every post in that format?
That's how Facebook was back then. That's crazy that I have to tell you that.
I didn't post like that.
I know, but like it was automatically there. Like
oh, really?
Yeah. That's fucking weird that you don't know that. You're so.
I would just be like, I remember going on Facebook before like a day of 6th grade, and I'd be like, chilling on my way to school. Hit me up.
Yeah, you weren't old enough for the is. 10 years ago on this day, September 27th, 2013. Happiness is holding tickets to every single Red Sox home playoff game with an awesome beard. And it's me.
Well,
holding
you
up.
Have the awesome beard.
Held all the tickets too. Had every home playoff game there. Oh,
can't do that.
8 years ago today, September 27, 2015. We love you, Don. And this was when we went to Fenway and handed out all the Don Orsillo heads.
That was
in Section 10.
one of the most legendary moments from Section 10. And I remember that whole Don situation. I bawled my eyes out. That is one of the hardest times I've ever cried as a Red Sox fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a Don Orsillo fanboy, so take that for what you will. Mm-hmm. But seeing his post today to Tito just had me thinking about all of it, the relationship, what he meant here. And I'm not trying to crap on Dave O'Brien, but man, it has been a very negative broadcast as of late. And I was just sitting there kind of thinking about Don a lot the last month or so.
September 27, 2022. Bucket list. Get in the Red Sox broadcast booth. Check.
Good work.
A lot happened on this day. A lot of Red Sox stuff happened on this day. I was in Baltimore to watch the season die in 2011. Got my playoff tickets in 2013. This was the day that Coley and it was like some fucking Ocean's 11 operation. Like, did we tell you this story?
I don't think so.
It was Don Orsillo's last home game as a broadcaster with the Red Sox. And I forget the dude's name now. I'm sorry if you're listening. I don't know if he is, but we had this dude print off 1,000, or I don't even know how many it was, 500 Don Orsillo heads on a stick, which I still have one out there. And Coley used to work at Fenway, so he knew which parking lot to go in. So we went through kind of like the employee entry. We were holding this big ass fucking cardboard box full of Don Orsillo heads, but it was closed. And this is before like I didn't have any clout then. It's 2015.
Just a dude in his signs.
Yeah. So if we got caught, I wasn't gonna be like, hey, I know so and so, don't worry about it. We didn't fucking know those people. So we go through this employee entrance, and then we went up the back stairs in center field, and then came behind Section 10. We were at the top of Section 10, but we didn't have to walk up any of the stairs. So it was the last home game of the season. We cut open the box, and we start handing out all the Don Orsillo heads to all the fans in Section 10. And then security comes over, and they were like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And I was like, oh, you didn't. It's the last home game of the season. Every section is getting a free giveaway. This is the giveaway for this section. I think like the next row or like the next section over, they have like these like stress squishy balls that they're going to be giving out. And I was like, the section over, they have, we were just like making shit up. They're like, this is the free giveaway. They didn't tell you. He's like, no. I was like, all right, well, we're giving it out. Can you stand by the box that no one just takes them out of the box? He's like, yeah, no problem. So Fenway Security is standing by the box to make sure that no one walking by just takes them out of the box. And we went up and down the rows and gave out the Don Orsillo heads to everyone in section 10. And then when we were done, we just fucking split and like left the box there. And we like went across and like saw everyone in the section like waving the Don Orsillo heads. And I don't think it made it on TV for obvious reasons.
Of course.
But yeah, that was apparently 8 years ago today.
Do you think if you didn't have the clout you do today, you could pull something like that off again? Or was that just such a, like, you legit had a Fenway employee working for your operation at that point,
Yeah.
unknowingly, like truly like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like, it sounds like something out of a friggin' cartoon.
Yeah.
Pulling that off today seems fucking almost impossible.
I don't think we could pull it off today because like people didn't know who we were. Like section 10.
That would be like if I tried to pull up and did shit.
Yeah, like section 10 at that point. I mean, no, you have more clout now than I did probably then. I think maybe I don't know. 2015. Yeah, like section 10 was probably doing like between like 5,000 and 7,500 listeners, maybe.
God. Yeah, that's crazy.
Like maybe like we peaked at like 10,000.
Now that you mention it too, Don's last time calling a Red Sox game was in Cleveland, right? After that,
yep.
Tito in Cleveland saying goodbye.
Yep.
That just hit me as well.
Round and third, heading for home.
I don't know, man. It's this time of year. You look back on a lot of those memories, all those little different things, because they're all benchmarks.
Yeah.
They're all like little, chapter points in your baseball fandom.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're at a very depressing one.
I think it's crazy. Hopefully no one from Nesson is listening. I think it's crazy that we were doing this like pro Don, like anti Nesson thing on this day. And then 8 years later, I'm making my debut in the Nesson booth. Like that's a little crazy to me. But
listen, that's what built you up to be you. As a voice of the fans, you were there to address an issue that still bothers people to this day.
Yeah.
That's one of the few things. Throw that in with Bogarts, Lester. It's like Bogarts, Lester, Orsillo. Like he still ranks that highly when you have those combos.
I would say
he'll never get over it.
He might even be higher than Bogarts at this point, knowing what the Bogarts contract ended up being.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Love you, Don.
It probably goes like Mookie, Don.
Yeah, Jesus.
Mookie, Lester, Don, Mookie, Don, Lester. I feel like those two are honestly interchangeable because at least like after Lester, you signed Price and Price led you to a title. So it's like, that takes the sting out of it a little bit. Like nothing's going to take the sting out of Mookie, I don't think.
And Don looks so happy. That's the other part. It's kind of similar to the Mookie thing as well, where you see those smiles. They look like they're having the time of their lives. Mm-hmm. I just want to be a part of your happiness.
Well, you never will be ever again.
Thanks for reminding me.
Tough. It's just a tough reality.
I've accepted it.
What you also need to accept is that 2023 is dead and gone. We're moving on. There's some things that we have to discuss about next year, about this winter in particular. And I feel like it's going to be a healing process for you. I feel like you're at a point right now where you're still being a little bitch about 2023.
I just want,
you need to let
when
it
I
go.
watch the game, give me something to just smile about.
No. Smile about Yamamoto coming to the Red Sox. Smile about that.
Like at least on what's today? Wednesday. On Tuesday, I could smile. I'm watching Abreu and Valdez. Awesome. That gives me a reason to tune in. Cool. Tonight, what could possibly make you smile tonight?
Tyler Glasnow. I fucking love him. Just carving up that ass. I love him.
He is a beautiful man.
He is.
Like the Justin Turner thing, seeing that play out, that was like emotional, but it was also like one of the more awkward things I think I've ever seen.
It was, so put it this way. I appreciated the gesture by Alex Cora. Very classy to do. Did it make me feel things? No. Like, I like Justin Turner, but like, he's been here for a year. He's a lifelong Dodger. Everyone knows him as a Dodger. I think if you were to give him a lie detector test, hey, would you rather be here or in LA? Like, he's gonna be like, yeah, dude, I wish I never fucking came here.
Look at Kike.
Yeah, like how happy was Kike to leave here and go back to LA? So yeah, like I think he deserved to get his appreciation for playing hurt in a lost season. Like he didn't owe these fans shit. Like he didn't owe us anything. He didn't owe the Red Sox anything. But he did it because that's just who he is. He went out there and he played hurt in a lost season in front of a fan base that he was brand new to. So for that, yes, like he deserves his flowers and his praise for doing that. But like, did it make me feel emotional? No. Like, no. It's just
And
like,
on
oh,
top,
that's nice. That's nice that he got his recognition. That's all.
it for like watching him like try to figure it out as it was happening, and then Cora goes for the handshake, and he's like, "Okay, well, I'm not
out
used
of
to
the
this
game?
kind of thing."
Yeah.
Like he's walking back, and it's like, damn, like he never went through this kind of thing with the Dodgers as a whole, so it's just that uncomfortable moment. But it's also the stuff off the field, and I thought Cora did a great job bringing it up after the game, saying like, you guys see what he does out there on a daily basis, what he's meant for the clubhouse, what he's meant for like the community, for a guy coming here first year, having really no idea how this entire city plays.
Mhm.
This dude was as involved as anybody,
Mhm.
And that's the stuff you kind of point to and say, when people look at Justin Turner, like that guy would have fit in on the 2013 squad.
Mhm.
That's like the biggest compliment you could possibly get here. And who knows what the future is going to be for him, right? We know he's going to accept the buyout. That's the right move. He can get that money and then go get another contract. Good for him. He deserves every penny of it. But yeah, nice moment. Just like you said, at this kind of point in time, does it get you? Does it do anything
Does it get
for
your
you?
dick
No.
hard, Tyler?
No.
No.
I'm soft as a fucking puppy.
Yeah. So I'm glad he got his moment of recognition. But again, I go back to the All-Star game where how can I be excited that Kenley Jansen is an All-Star? It's like that's the Red Sox only All-Star and he's a Dodger. Like I'm gonna look at Kenley and when look at Kenley, I'm like, man, Dodger legend right there. Justin Turner getting pulled, getting appreciation, getting showered with love, Dodger legend right there. And it's not a bad thing, but it like last year when JD got his like standing ovation, it's like, damn man, like champion, Red Sox World Series champion right there. Like Nate, it's like Nate's been around Tampa, Dodgers, Yankees, like
Two big playoff runs here.
yeah, but I mean,
Xander, the Xander goodbye.
Yeah.
Come on. We were all tweeting that and getting emotional. But I think with Justin Turner and Kenley Jansen, it's the other thing. And, we'll touch on the Kenley Jansen comments. There seems to be a process of acceptance of being like, damn, we were kind of sold that this team was going to be in the conversation, that it wasn't going to play out like it did a year ago, where you're sitting here and you're going to win somewhere between 76 to 78 games or whatever it is. And everyone by the end of the year is absolutely mentally gassed and done. I think there was a lot of hope that there was going to be more. And how the first 4 months of the season went, I think a lot of them bought into it and accepting at this point that, this is what this year was. Really a lost year for two guys who've just done nothing but win and go to the playoffs for the last decade. It's not an easy thing to swallow, especially coming to Boston when you make those promises. So, and I think it's part of the reason Heim's not here. It seems like there's now that they're out of it, there's a growing frustration that they're not scared to let out, that we wanted more from this team. We thought this team had more in it, and we didn't really feel like we got the chance to go about it that way.
I mean, Heim did say to Kike, you have my word, the team's going to be better. And then he traded.
You might not even win as many games as you did last year.
That's sad. But again, I don't give a fuck. Like I look at where they were at when the season officially died, and you were what, like 2 games out? Alex Cora got you within 2 games of a wild card spot when you were a sputtering engine with a wing falling off. Like he made a big difference. He made a big difference. But it's just, I don't know. When you look back on some of these Red Sox seasons, like some of them stand out for good reasons, some of them stand out for bad reasons. When I think back on 2022 and 2023, I'm just gonna be like 10 years from now, I'm gonna be like, which one was the year that Justin Turner was here? When did he like randomly like almost like driving like 100 runs and he was like he was like 40? Like that's like nothing else of note fucking happened in the last 2 years. You'd be like, oh yeah, 22, that was okay, that was Bogart's last year. That was like when JD was that was
Bayo's
last
debut.
year. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like these years are like I'm fucking bored, dude. Like I'm genuinely bored watching this team. Like I don't think I've ever felt this way. And I'm not trying to complain because obviously with Heim being gone, change is coming. It sounds like drastic change is coming, which is why I'm trying to steer more towards the positive side. But being candid with you, I haven't been this bored by a Red Sox team maybe in my lifetime, probably 2006. Like 2006, I was bored out of my fucking mind watching the Red Sox, but you had David Ortiz chasing the single season Red Sox home run record. So there was something to keep you locked in where you were like, all right, yeah. But like 2006 was probably the last time I was as tuned out as I am now.
And I think even if you asked this question back, around the trade deadline, it didn't feel that way. I don't think anybody looked at this team and thought they were boring. We thought they were exhausting and in a roller coaster, but we had moments and things we liked about the team, reasons that a lot of people were hoping they'd buy or at least do a little bit of something. And just how it played out the last 2 months, man, where it fell completely through the floor. That's what takes it out of you, because at one point, I think almost everyone had some positive feelings towards this team. Even if you were on the more negative side like I was, and I didn't see them as a playoff team, everyone saw more in this team. No one thought they were going to be this bad in September, even with the losses of Casas, Duran, Kenley kind of being in and out over that stretch, Paxton going down. If I told you they were going to win one series in September, you won. You've won one series since you swept the Yankees in New York. One series in 6 weeks of baseball. I'm gonna cry.
What?
Oh, I just know I can't actually ever hear that with any positivity until 2024.
Legitimately, yeah. It's gonna be a long time. It's gonna be a long time before you hear that song again.
We need a off-season song for whenever we have a big signing that we can celebrate with.
Like that one?
That hits. But out of season, you think we can still play it during the off season?
Jake, can we play the positivity horn if the Red Sox sign Yamamoto?
You think we're knocking a horn if we sign Yamamoto,
Yeah,
Tyler?
that's a pretty dumb
I'm a fool.
fucking question.
I'm a clown.
That was a dumb question, Tyler.
I'm sorry.
Are you sorry?
No,
You're not sorry.
I am sorry. Sorry.
Okay. You're sorry that you said that you weren't sorry?
See,
Okay. I'm just asking.
I'm clearing it up.
Okay. Just trying to get some clarity here. Because I'm already pretty positive right now. I feel good. Despite everything that I've said to this point, I feel pretty good. Like I miss having that cockiness to me where maybe the Red Sox aren't 8 games up on the next team. Maybe they're 3 games up, but just having that cockiness of like, you can't fuck with us. Like, you can't touch us. We know we're better than the other teams. It's just a matter of putting it all together. I miss feeling that way. Like, I feel like being a Red Sox fan right now, you kind of feel like a chump. It's like, what were we supposed to say? Last place again.
I think that's where you hope going into this off season, where there's no room left for that to be said anymore. Right? Like, you hope that they go in and add the pieces where you can say, no matter what, going into the year, this team has the talent to be in not only a wild card spot, but maybe more. They can compete with the best teams in baseball. If they are opening the window like they are and they're talking about championships, they have the ability. There are a lot of moves that need to be made, hard moves, figuring out this whole outfield puzzle, which I think has become one of the more talked about topics lately as people realize, all right, like there's going to be some hard decisions with a Duran, a Rafaela, a Abreu, how you want to piece this thing together moving forward. Yeah. Like someone's going to have to come here and really shake things up, and you're going to have to kill it this offseason. It is not as simple as just signing 2 pitchers. You got more work to do than that. But with all the tools you have at your disposal, it's what makes this job what it is. You have the farm system. You have the prospects. I'm not giving them any excuses for it. You need to find a way. It just comes down to whether you can hire the right guy or girl, woman.
I'm glad you said that.
Of course.
Glad you're seeing the light now.
Should we talk about the latest leading candidate or one of the leading candidates?
I think what we should do is have Jake talk to us about Blue Moon, and then we can talk to the people about the candidate search, because there is some new information. Maybe you missed it. Maybe you're aware of it, that people maybe want our reaction to it. So we can't react to that until Jake tells us about Blue Moon.
Even under the bright lights of the playoffs, Blue Moon Belgian White Belgian Style Wheat Ale is the beer that's made brighter. Blue Moon was born in a ballpark for baseball fans, first brewed at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. From its bold, refreshing flavor to its beautiful, bright color, Blue Moon is as iconic as America's pastime. I don't know if everyone caught it earlier, but maybe the craziest part of this episode so far is when Tyler was like, we need like a positive sound to play when something good happens. You live under a rock, buddy? Low-key one of the dumbest things he's ever said on the pod, and that's pretty impressive. And that makes me want a Blue Moon, because with its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander, Blue Moon Belgian White Belgian Style Wheat Ale is the one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. Blue Moon was brewed by baseball, so it's the perfect match for the playoffs. The crack of a beer, the pour, the first sip of that bold flavor, Blue Moon always feels like a special occasion. Best served with its signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful bright color. A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all through the playoffs. Brighten up the baseball playoffs with Blue Moon Belgian Style Wheat Ale. It's one of a kind every time. Check out shop.bluemoonbrewingcompany.com for fresh baseball merch, and visit get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared to find Blue Moon delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale.
Thank you, Jake. Ronald Acuna Jr. just stole his 70th base, so he is the first ever member of the 40-70 club. Congratulations.
Did I get a positivity horn?
No. It's not play for the Red Sox. I don't know if you knew that. Play for the Red Sox.
Breaking.
So the Bob Nightingale piece. Are you talking about the Bobby Nightingale piece? My roommate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bobby Nightingale put out a little piece. I like when articles are called pieces. It makes it sound more serious. A piece.
Yeah, it's like something you put your heart and thoughts into. An article. That sounds like
Article's
something
like,
you release when someone dies.
I wrote an article today. Blah, 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 blah. But if it's like, I wrote a piece. It's like,
I configured this piece.
Like, that's serious. He wrote a piece. Damn. But Bobby Nightingale wrote a piece about the Red Sox general manager search. And unsurprisingly, Mike Hazen is out. He's not an option. We kind of threw out there that it would be one of two reasons. It was both. The D-backs wouldn't let him go, or family reasons. We were told both, at least in this piece. So Mike Hazen is no longer an option in the general manager search. And I don't know how you feel about this take, Tyler, but here's where I'm kind of leaning. Because there's been a lot of speculation about, every time that I say man or woman, that there's some kind of like inside information about Kim Ang.
Dominating the subreddit right now.
A lot of people feel that way. Have I heard things? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, things.
Yeah. Have I heard things? Yeah. Yeah. I have. But what do I think makes the most sense? What do I think makes the most sense? What I think makes the most sense, and what I said to Tony Maserati tonight on 98.5 The Sports Hub, 6 to 7, baseball hour. I'll be there on Monday, last show of the year. Closing it out. What are you doing, Friday?
Friday will be our last show for the roundtable.
With Matt McCarthy.
Correct.
Friday for me, Catillo tomorrow. Wow, what a plug for the whole show for the rest of the week. What I said was I think that the combination of Eddie Romero, Raquel Ferreira, Alex Cora, I think that makes a lot of sense. I do. Whether Alex Cora goes upstairs going into next year, I don't know. Maybe that's something that happens. Maybe he wants to finish out his managerial contract next year And then the year after, maybe he goes upstairs, and then they go that route. Because what was the Ken Rosenthal thing from today?
Ken Rosenthal just talking about like 10 managers that have interesting situations. I believe that was the way they phrased it. This was just part of it where he's kind of just mentioning like, oh, Cora, the front office speculation, blah, blah, blah. Put a little point in there about his relationship with Bloom. This is the quote. Bloom, acting on ownership's apparent preference, chose to bring back Cora after the manager's 1-year suspension for his involvement in the Astros sign stealing scandal. On the surface, the two seem to coexist professionally, but friends of Bloom, who spoke on condition of anonymity, how do you say that?
Anonymity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In exchange for their candor, believe Cora was not as supportive of Bloom as he could have been.
Okay, so let's separate the two, because the piece that came out today, and it wasn't like a report. He just straight up fucking told you, "Hey, I'll be back next year." Did you not find so? It's not surprising, but did you not find it interesting that he is openly, confidently saying, "I'll be back next year," before a general manager is hired? Right? Like, that's the pieces that, like, try and put this puzzle together. If you're the Red Sox and you're hiring a general manager outside of the organization, how are you going to say that Alex Cora is back? Right? Like, you're going to like hypothetically, I'm not like trying to hint at anything. Let's just say they hire Brian Sabian. What if Brian Sabian's like, I want to hire my own manager? Why did you let him say that he's coming back? So that's what leads me to believe, if they're so confident that Alex Cora is coming back, and like, it sounds like he was told this by someone, John Henry, Sam Kennedy, somebody, you're coming back, then I would venture to guess if Eddie Romero, Raquel Ferreira, if you're moved into this new general manager position, it's one or both of you. If you were to ask them right now, hey, who do you want to be the manager of the Boston Red Sox moving forward? Alex Cora. Like, it's not even a question. They don't even have to think about it. Like, that's who they're picking. So that's what I'm trying to put puzzle pieces together here. If you're so confident that you're coming back, then it must be whoever the general manager is going to be. They already know that Alex Cora is the guy. And those two, if it's one or both of those people, then that makes the most sense to me.
And I think the other thing people need to factor in here, and I truthfully believe it, I think part of Bloom being fired was that relationship with Cora. And it was kind of picking which side, as we saw the continued frustration, where Cora this year, there's no matter how you feel about AC, there were clearly shots taken at Bloom at different points.
The roster,
whether you want
to,
the roster is the roster. Pablo Reyes isn't an everyday player. We're rocking the underdog shirts, right? Like, however you kind of want to go about it and pick those pieces apart, that was real. And it goes back to, the reports that came out right after Bloom was fired about how Cora, the coaching staff, felt abandoned a year ago at 2020 or in 2022 with the Carlos Santana situation when they badly needed a first baseman, just someone who could field the ball, unlike Franchi Cordero, and they never got one. I think all of that was a very real reality. Now, when we talk about Cora staying here, yeah, Cora's part of the family. Chaim Bloom worked for the Red Sox. Alex Cora, we know ownership pushed Bloom. I still think Bloom was able to make that decision, and I think he wanted Cora here, when he rehired him. But we know how ownership and how they view Alex Cora here. And the fact that they'd even consider moving him to a front office position should tell you everything you need to know. The fact that that's even an idea to graduate someone, that is such a level of respect that, a majority of managers in baseball aren't going to get. And I think that's where you kind of look at this conversation and why you're seeing Sam Fold being connected to the Red Sox, Brandon Gomes, two guys who are former players, right? Two guys who have time but are heavy analytical guys as well, while Cora and Bloom never seem to really match, at least on how they viewed the team from an on-field perspective or the daily stuff inside the clubhouse. Well, how about if we get a guy that has some of those analytical beliefs, that way of seeing the game, but also knows what it's like to be on the field, be a player, and do those things? I think that's all part of this conversation here. And I think it also fits into that Eddie Romero conversation as well. That might be the way if they feel like no one really stands out to them. There's really no one that kind of sways them one way or the other here. But I think Alex Cora is going to be here. And I think it's the same reason why going into this offseason, whoever they do hire, and as much as there is the whole conversation about, well, you hire someone, they're going to want their own guy. Dave Dombrowski came here. He had John Farrell right off rip. Like, they told him, hey, You're going to enjoy John Farrell. Like, you're going to ride this out for a couple years before you eventually got to Alex Cora. Bloom obviously inherited Cora, right? Cora is one of the best managers in baseball. You're not going to find anyone in the game who doesn't believe that. So it is a slightly different situation than, hey, we like this guy. He's part of our family. We're keeping him around. No, you're getting a guy that would have a job somewhere if he didn't have one here. That's the reality of it. Nobody has a bad word to say about Alex Cora, the manager, especially coming off what he did this year, where he went months with 3 starters and found a way to keep you in the conversation. It's just, yeah, I think with Cora right now, he's going to get that extension whenever this next hire comes, because you're going into a year where you're hoping to start a new era of the Red Sox, where you're pushing heavily in this winning direction. You're not treating that guy like a lame duck manager. And he hinted at it in that Globe piece from 2 days ago saying, hey, if we talk extension, we talk extension. The door's open. The door's open to the extension talk. It just needs to happen. And you said it today. You're not going to announce an extension for Cora before the next guy comes in, because you need to make it look like, oh, we're all in one moving piece here. Whoever we brought in, he's a big Alex Cora fan. And it's a risk, because then you might have that situation again where, your leader of the front office doesn't see eye to eye on Cora. Their relationship isn't great. That's a risk you take. I think that's why you're hearing them consider players, former players, or even someone like Kim Ng, who has been in front offices for 20 plus years at this point and has the utmost respect of Andrew Friedman or a Brian Cashman or whoever she's worked with.
Yeah.
Even
it's
the
really
Theo recommendation from the commissioner's office.
Yeah, it's really that simple. Alex Cora is going into his last year of his contract next year. I'm sure the Red Sox would love to extend him right now. He would probably sign an extension right now. He wants to be here. He wants to win here. But if you're going to bring in a general manager from the outside, you're not going to do that extension right now, because then you create the narrative of that individual did not select Alex Cora. So now he's just kind of sitting around waiting for his endorsement from him or her. But if you wait, because his contract's not up after this year, you have the luxury of waiting. You hire your new general manager. One of that general manager's first orders of business, I'm going to extend Alex Cora, because I endorse Alex Cora. I want Alex Cora to be my manager. And that's how that works.
It's just like when I see some people saying like, who's going to want to come here if they can't pick their own manager? How many managers can you name you'd want before Alex Cora?
That's exactly my point.
Craig Counsell. And that I like Craig Counsell a lot. I don't think that would be an easy answer for everybody if you ask them that question either.
No.
Like, who else is really sitting there and you're like, oh, fuck. Like, you're not saying Dave Roberts.
No,
you know what I mean?
No.
Like, come on.
You saw Alex Cora and Dave Roberts go head to head in a World Series, and Alex Cora managed fucking circles around Dave Roberts.
Would you say Kevin Cash? I have a lot of respect for Kevin Cash, but he's had some moments in the playoffs that people look at and question heavily.
There's a large difference between Kevin Cash, Dave Roberts, and Alex Cora. Alex Cora, Kevin Cash, Dave Roberts, they look at the numbers. All three of them. They all look at the analytics. They all get the information from upstairs, and they all implement it into the decisions that they make. But when the moment calls for it and you have to go off script, Alex Cora is the guy that's making the right call. It is what it is. Like, we've seen it.
What he did in 2018 with those starters and finding a way to mix and match on a depleted pitching staff is still one of the more incredible things I've ever seen.
Eduardo Nunez, pinch hitting in the World Series. Away. Alex Wood, it's like, hey, if a situation comes up against lefty tonight, we're going to you. Be ready. Like, he can see situations before they happen and gets his guys prepared. He's a great. We did this interview 50 fucking times. Back in the Section 10 days, we would interview players on the Red Sox who played for Alex Cora and played for John Farrell. And I asked them all. I didn't lead them to the word. I just asked them knowing what the answer was going to be. What's the biggest difference between John Farrell and Alex Cora? Oh, communication. Players appreciate. John Farrell was a pitcher. Alex Cora, bench player, utility infielder. He knows what it's like to have to sit on the bench and be ready to come off the bench as a defensive replacement, as a pinch hitter. I'm starting today. I'm not starting today. I'm sitting for 5 straight games. Oh, I'm starting today against one of the best pitchers in the league. Like, he knows what that's like. So because he knows what that's like, he is able to communicate with his own players in a way that they appreciate, that helps them be better at their jobs. And he has a way. I mean, we all know about he can pick signs. That's not a fucking Astros reference. Like, he can literally look at a pitcher and be able to pick up his tips. And he's a dude that just has feel. Like, when you look at Kevin Cash pulling Blake Snell too early in 2020, and we all knew this motherfucker's never throwing another pitch for the Rays again, and he didn't. There are in Dave Roberts. How many fucking times did he go to Ryan Madsen in the World Series when every time he went out there, he gave up a moon bomb to somebody? He's like, dial up Madsen again. Get him in there. Bomb. Every time. Like, but that's what the numbers say. That's what the sheet says. Alex Cora will say, I appreciate the information. Thank you very much. But at the end of the day, I'm going to make the decision that I feel is right. I'm going to make the decision. Maybe 20 minutes ago, I thought I was going to make this decision. But now in the moment, I'm going to make this decision. And how many times did that fuck the Red Sox in the playoffs? How many times?
Yeah, it speaks for itself. Right?
When was there a time in the Alex Cora era in the playoffs that you looked at a decision that he made and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Ever?
We sit here and we say Laz Diaz fucked you in the, against the Astros in the ALCS. Like, that's the moment you look back with Nate Eovaldi. And you say it wasn't his fault. If you just call the strike, it's a much different situation. And I don't want to sit here and say I haven't criticized Cora this year. He has deserved it at certain points. There's been fair things, whether you want to talk about those comments post-game, some of the infield defense stuff, I do think could have been better. I just mentioned it earlier. I have not been happy with how this team finished this year. I would have hoped there would have been a little more fight, that they wouldn't have completely imploded on themselves to this level. Whereas it's embarrassing baseball to watch. That's the reality. Where your offense is the 27th, or 27th best in terms of weighted runs created plus. You're amongst the very worst in the entire sport. But all that aside, I hope they make changes to the coaching staff. I think that is a fair thing to hold on Alex Cora going into this next regime, where you say, Carlos Feblis, Dave Bush, and Cora spoke about it today and was I think he understood the situation when they're like, what do you expect for your coaching staff? Well, a lot of the guys have 1-year deals remaining, but we're going to kind of see what it is. Sam's comments were Sam's comments. I think they know they need to reshuffle this thing a little bit. Will all those guys I just named be gone? I don't know. But clearly some changes have to be made. I think you just talk with Cora and you find whatever is the next pathway here. You lock into this next coaching staff. You need a reset. I think everybody needs a reset. It's just call it a reset or whatever it is. Whatever you were going to go to that wasn't Alex Cora was not going to get you where you need to be, at least at this moment in time. I have a hard time, think of managerial candidates or whoever. There's just no one that's going to come with the same credibility, the same connections that are in that dugout with someone like Rafael Devers, who is entering the real first year of that extension, someone who clearly still needs an arm around him, that big brother. What would it be like for Rafi if Cora wasn't in that dugout next year? That's something I'd be terrified about.
It's a great question.
No Xander here, no JD here. Cora can at least put his arm around him to some degree. JT gone as well. Like, leadership is so important. I think Cora does hold that. And while things have leaked out the last couple of years that I have not loved, I hope that it resembles much more the Dave Nabrowski era in that sense, where you find someone they're on the same page and you don't have players speaking, through the media, maybe passing things that are being talked about in the clubhouse. Frustrations that have leaked out since then that we know Cora wasn't happy or didn't agree with, which I'm not saying he was wrong. I'm not saying what he did or how he felt was incorrect, but there was something to that drama playing out, coming through that I don't love personally. And some of that goes to Heim for those decisions playing out that way as well. But kind of reeling it all back in and keeping some of this drama from, just the speculation, the front office stories, all that, a little more internal. But that's dysfunction. When you have dysfunction in your organization, that's the shit that happens.
Do you think that the dysfunction will subside now because Chaim Bloom's not here? Not that he was the problem, but it was clear that they were not on the same page.
Yeah, because I think whoever gets hired will have to be on the same page as Alex Cora. Or at least to the point where, they're not going to agree on everything. That's baseball. But this next hire,
they have to be more like-minded.
Yeah, like a former player. which is some of those connections you're seeing. I would not be surprised. Or Eddie Romero, someone who Cora has a very good relationship, been in the organization forever, where they can match up. And if Eddie Romero's here, Cora's hand in this is going to be so fucking heavy in terms of how everything's getting shifted around. So I just think Cora, when they fired Chaim Bloom, they told you, we believe the future of the Red Sox has a very big part of Alex Cora in it. And that's just how we're going to carry on from here. What? Talk.
Because I don't want to like
Is it about Cora or candidates?
Candidates. I don't want to like endorse someone and then someone else gets hired and then it's like, well,
that wasn't your guy.
Yeah. I don't want them to be like, oh, well, you didn't want me, you know? Like, I don't want that. But there is definitely a scenario and that I would love to see play out. So
is there anyone that you've heard discussed that you're like, I'm immediately good on? David Force, like I'm good on that one. The A's GM, don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's nothing personal against like Sam Fold, but like I don't know that does it for me.
So this is very interesting. I personally, if it was anyone but Alex Cora, I would have picked Sam Fold to be the next manager of the Red Sox when
Based
Cora
on
got
what?
rehired.
What has he done that you're just like, oh man, need some of that?
Because I thought when you talked about what Chaim Bloom's vision was, right? Kind of building into that, getting someone who had that analytical view. And really, when he got hired by the Phillies in 2017, I have the exact title right here. If you give me a second to scroll down. Yeah, he was the Major League Player Information Coordinator. Guy who was friggin' amazing at teaching a dugout about analytics and kind of being that middleman with the front office. I was always worried that was something when they were changing the infrastructure, when they were doing all these things for the Red Sox. How are you going to align this so that this miscommunication that happened with Cora wouldn't happen, right?
How does that get me Yamamoto?
Well, you would hope, right? So Sam Fold, he talks about it. He's very heavily influenced by Moneyball. But who did Dave Dombrowski pick to be his right-hand man in, Philadelphia the last couple of years with all the success? Dave Dombrowski has said, Sam Fold, like, I basically view him as my successor. You hope he can combine what he's learned from Dombrowski, right? Yeah. Those traits that people are looking for in an offseason like this. Can you be analytical, but also have the balls of the guy you've been mentoring under the last 3 years?
Yeah. And I'm glad that you made the point about the balls, because I made this point on the baseball hour with Maz tonight about, I keep saying, I wish Sam Kennedy would channel some of that Larry Lucchino angry Italian energy back in the day when it's like the Red Sox would suck or they would have an embarrassing season. And Larry would just be like, fuck this. Like, I'm not standing for this. Like, we're going to go out there and we're going to do something about it. And then they would. Not that, like Sam is who he is. I think like Sam, he has a public persona that is very just squeaky clean and it's to the point, and he's going to say things in a certain way. But I know Sam, he's from here, and I know that he's like, yes, he's the president and CEO of the Boston Red Sox, but I also know that he's a diehard Red Sox fan. Like, he's a Red Sox fan. John Henry, I think he's a Cardinals fan. Tom Warner, I have no fucking idea if he even likes baseball. I don't know. I have no clue. But I know Sam Kennedy, like, he's one of us. And if you were to get him to just open up and be Sam Kennedy, he would be like, man, I fucking love the Boston Red Sox. And it probably kills him to see them not play well or lose. And he has to be one of the people that answers for it. So if Sam is not going to channel his inner Larry, that's okay. But where you get that fuck you from, that we're not going to take this shit anymore from, that's kind of Cora. Like, Cora is the guy that not only can I identify talent, not only could I, use my relationships that I have throughout the league with, like, remember when the Mets hired Omar Minaya? And then immediately they go get fucking Pedro and Carlos Beltran. You don't think Alex Cora would have a similar impact? Like, that's the comparison I'm looking at, where it's like he's got relationships with guys all across the league, and he's got that fuck you. He's got that we're not going to take this shit anymore. And he also has a great relationship with John Henry, like in a way that, no disrespect to Chaim Bloom, I don't think Chaim Bloom could knock on John Henry's door and be like, hey, so I was thinking maybe could we get like, I don't know, like $215 million for Yamamoto? No.
John,
Okay,
we need this.
It's fine. No, don't worry about it. Alex could be like, John, listen, we need $225 million. Hey, do you want to win or not? Do you want a championship or not? Do you want like the fans to get off your ass or not? All right, well, here's what we got to do. Here's the plan. Trust me.
Do you want me here?
Yeah, trust me. Like, that's when I kept harping about conviction with Chaim Bloom. You're just kind of like looking at the character traits of these two individuals, which I don't know. Like, I feel like there are people out there that say, you know, Alex Cora moving up the ranks here and having more power. Like, well, he's just a former player. He's never done this job before. Okay, but like, is he a great eye for talent? Yes. Like, is he someone that I've mentioned before, like when Dave Dombrowski was here, that he was Daddy Dave. He was Sugar Daddy Dave. And he would, like, Alex would go out there and be like, hey, we need to get this guy. And then Dave Dombrowski would get said guy. Dave Dombrowski had his eyes on David Price as a free agent for sure. But, you would be very surprised to hear some of the names that Alex Cora was like, hey, Dave, like, we want this guy. And then he goes out and gets the guy. Maybe it's just me. I know it's not just me, but I do have confidence in Cora being able to do the job. I do think that there would have to be a buffer period. Like, I do think that he would have to learn from Eddie, whomever else would be able to mentor him. But I think ultimately what I'm longing for, and what I've been talking about on the show for weeks, of like, hey, we need that attitude back. Like, we're too like pushover right now. And like Chaim, super nice guy, super smart, but like super, like, he's not going to tell you go fuck yourself. Like, Chaim is not like Alex Cora will tell you go fuck yourself if that's how he feels. And like, you need someone that bleeds Red Sox. He does. Like, he feels indebted to this organization because of the second chance that they gave him. Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's outside of just being a manager. If you've got the power to actually make the moves to put the best product on the field, and you have the blessing of John Henry's wallet, that's a dangerous combination to me. So I don't think that, like I said, I don't think it's going to be overnight. But the more I think about it, the more I kind of like the idea of the Cora, Romero, Ferreira trio coming together to right the ship.
Yeah, like those Cora comments, like him saying, I'm going to be here, like that points to those directions. And if it is Eddie who moves up, I think, the one concern would be, right, you haven't been in this spot before where you need to go into an offseason and dominate. But you can say the same thing about Sam Fold. Yeah, he's been the number 2 guy watching that happen. Brandon Gomes, he's been the number 2 guy and watched that happen. So it's similar, a similar flaw being there. If you're not going to land a Mike Hazen that you clearly had interest in, but it wasn't going to happen. Chris Antonetti, another place where seemingly, according to their beat reporters, he turned you down once again. Well, you're going down from that tier 1 list, that big fish name, or bigger fish, I guess you call it at that point. It's really not the David Stearns of the world, clearly, but you're coming down. Like, you're kind of closing that circle in what you're looking at. Well, we're either going to take a chance on a first-time guy outside of the organization that maybe has the things Bloom didn't have, offers a different feel for the game because of their playing time, or you go internal with the guy who has a very close relationship with Cora. It's just, I think you are sitting there and questioning, do we have the experience? Do we have that guy in there that's been in that spot and can really get these deals closed? Because Eddie has been here, right? Like, Eddie was here throughout the Bloom era. This is just going to be something he has yet to do. Or was Eddie the guy that maybe was standing the loudest in that room and saying, that's the indecisiveness with Bloom. Like, I'm not the number 1 guy, but if I was the number 1 guy, this is how it would be. right? Like, was he the one in the room on the opposite end of the spectrum? We don't know, but we know his connection with Bayo and Devers, the scouting, the eye for talent. Eddie Romero checks all of those boxes. I do think it would be very interesting if this could be, maybe they tell Cora, hey, we're going to give you a couple years and then we'll make this decision.
Yeah.
Then we'll kind of transfer you. We'll do 2 or 3 years in between. This will be your last kind of set for a managerial career and we'll go from there. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how they go about it, but I do wonder if they can't land someone with experience, if they just say, screw it, let's just go with Eddie, Cora, Raquel, and see it that way. Let's let it play out. And who knows, maybe in another offseason, we pull a Mets and we say, whoa, there's a David Stearns. We like that guy. Let's shake it up. You know, maybe they say,
remember when the Mets made Brody Van Wagenen their general manager?
yeah, what a move. Trying to play off the agent thing, right? But if they look at it that way and they say, you know, hey, Eddie, we like you a lot. We're not going to give you the CBO or the Pobo title, but we'll make you GM. But we'll make you the GM, Eddie, and we'll go, let's see how this year plays out. And you go from there.
Yeah.
Billy Epler. If you prove it to me, if you show me something that I haven't seen, or it allows for Cora to be the, you know, get that big time promotion and they tell Eddie, this is what it's going to be. Are you cool with that? It's still a promotion to you.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Do you trust the Red Sox to make the right decision?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yikes. I guess you look at it and you say, well, when they had to go to Dombrowski, they made the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say when they went to Bloom, that was the wrong decision?
No.
Right? Because he built up the infrastructure. He got your farm through a tough period.
He did exactly what you asked him to do outside of win while doing everything else that he was doing.
Yeah. And the guy before that, Ben Charrington, the guy before that, Theo, like, at least when they've hired guys, they've kind of come out and done what they needed to do. Now, I guess if you're looking at Heim, you say, well, he didn't win to the level he needed to, right? Like, they saw that as the problem here. I would say when they're in this mode where they're about it and they're serious about fucking winning a championship along with their track record, it proves you should have that faith. And it seems like whatever the Bloom era was to them, it was somewhat of a wake-up call in their eyes that they need to have more conviction, be more about championship, be more about winning after all the dirty work was done. Yeah, I think I still have faith in ownership to hire the right guy. And I'd say a big reason I see that is because they still see the value in Alex Cora.
Yeah.
They don't look at Cora and say, you know what, fuck it, just clean it all out.
Yeah.
Let's reboot this whole thing and just bring a couple fresh pieces in and, you know, a new name in the front office, new name in the dugout, and see where it goes. No, we still view Alex Cora as that guy. We see how much he means to the fan base, to the players, to the organization. We're not letting go of that because we know we need it.
Yeah.
And just the move to fire Heim. Like, a majority of the fan base, or a lot of the fan base, had accepted Heim was going to get another year. We're like, you know what? We think he's going to get one more. He kind of deserves to see it out. They stepped in and said, no.
Yeah, fuck
like,
your last
we need
year.
to do something.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are all content. You've kind of accepted it. Well, for whatever reason, whether you want to call them right or wrong, they weren't okay with it. They felt like they had to shake things up, even with all the PR fallout that was going to happen. That speaks to some kind of urgency or push to want to be better. Isn't that what you've been asking for from John Henry and ownership? Show me a pulse. That's a pulse.
I agree.
So Sam Fold doesn't do anything for you. Would you put him similar to Brandon Gomes in your eyes?
Yeah, like where it's okay, former player, you know, coming from a good learning tree, coaching tree, whatever. I just think that it's such a pivotal point in the Red Sox trajectory. You know, like I think I would be more open to a Gomes Fold type if we were at the beginning part of the process. Like during the time where you hired Heim, I would be more open to names like that. But now it's like Heim built you up in the first phase to get you to the entry point of phase 2, where in phase 2, you put your nuts on the table. I don't know if Gomes or Fold are nuts on the table guys. Like, I don't know that.
Yeah. You never know what happens when they have to pull the trigger. I guess.
And I also I think back to times like 2003 and 2004, right? When like Theo Epstein gave a fuck. Like it killed him to lose out on Jose Contreras. When the Red Sox lost in 2003, he was going balls to the wall to get Kurt Schilling, to sign Keith Folk, to like make all like, all right, what were our weaknesses? All right, well, not only are we going to address those weaknesses, but we're going to get the literal best available options for all of them. Like that's why, like, you know, it's the new school, old school version of just, you know, how baseball teams are run, where all right, former player, analytics guy, like, is he gonna just say fuck it? Like, all right, the machine tells me that, you know, we project this guy's average annual value over the next 10 years to be $22 million. So we're not going above $22 million because that's what the machine says. Okay. How about the fact that you're in a fucking bidding war, and if you don't go above that projection, that you're just not going to get the player, and you need the fucking player, and he's the best available option. So if you don't get him, then you're going to end up, it's musical chairs. All right, guess what? Now you have the sixth best available option at this great area of need. That can't happen. So I don't know. Like, that's why, like, I turn to someone like Cora that's been here, that's fed up with this shit, that wants change, that has the balls and the eye for talent. Like that's what I'm looking for in my general manager. And if you are someone that's just entering the situation, how fed up could you possibly be? You didn't fucking deal with any of the bullshit that we've been dealing with for the last 4 fucking years. Like, you weren't here for that. Cora has been. Eddie has been. Raquel has been. Like, they've seen it. It's like, all right, I hate this. I hate losing. I hate having to address the fact that we've fallen short yet again. Like, I don't want to fucking deal with that. So yeah, like that's why I lean towards those options, those internal options. Like, give me the fucking passion and the fire to make this shit stop.
What do you think the outward response would be to an internal hire? Do you think people would look at it and say, you know, look at how things have played out with this front office group, with the people who worked under Bloom, you know, Eddie, Raquel, all these people. Well, you've been in last place 3 of the last 4 years. You've had a lot of mistakes, you know, a lot of things that went right as well, right? But, you know, the defense, the pitching staff, all these different things. Do you think there'd be some form of, damn, I wish there was a different voice in there? Or do you kind of look at it and say it's all about who is the number one guy? And at the end of the day, the head kind of leads the direction, sets the tone, sets the pace for everyone. That's what it's about. And if you change out the head from Heim to Eddie, or even Eddie/Cora, if the title is just being fudged a bit, is that welcoming you into a whole different kind of approach to this thing?
No one is going to have a real opinion on this until the first domino falls. Like,
multiple dominoes, if we're being honest.
I mean, if the first one's a big one, then it's like, okay, now we go. You know, like if they sign Aaron Nola and then call it an offseason, it's gonna be like, okay, like, I guess I mean, I guess you addressed something, but like, you didn't do enough. Then you'd be like, this is bullshit, you know? But if it's like, bang, Yamamoto, bang, Aaron Nola, and then trade Verdugo, bring in like this reliever, sign this guy, like, you know, I feel like it's going to be. Ian Brown was talking to Maz a couple nights ago, and I mean, the full expectation is big time spending money. Like, go out, spend the money. And we'll see if it actually yields the results that you want, like a winning season, going back to the playoffs. But I think at least if you go out there and spend the money this winter, it at least silences some of the people being like, what the fuck? Like, you know, the people that are like, oh, does John Henry still give a shit? You know, the people that say the Red Sox are the 4th most popular team in the city, they're not wrong. Like, that sucks. That sucks for me to sit there, and I have to admit that, you know, like, there was a time that if I was on the Red Sox broadcast, if I went in the booth and I was on the Red Sox broadcast, that would have felt like I was on TRL back in the 90s. Like, I would have gotten a million text messages. People be, oh my God, I saw you in the Red Sox game. I saw you. Now, like I go in the booth. It's like I might hear from like a couple people.
Couple tweets.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm talking like people like in my personal life, like my teachers from high school be like, oh my God, I saw you in the booth. Like it's not like that. It's not like that because I think people are just tuned out. People are just like, why the fuck would I sit there and watch the Red Sox when I could, like, there's so many other options. It's not even just like competing with other sports. Like you're competing with Netflix and Hulu and going outside and having a fucking life. Like the Red Sox need to have a monster offseason to draw you back in, to give you a reason to be like, yeah, I mean, I could go for a walk tonight. It's a nice night outside, but the Red Sox are playing the Orioles and they're a game back of first place in late August. Like I gotta see this shit.
I think that's why you cling to 2021 so much. And I'll be the first person to tell you, no one gave a fuck about that 2021 team until the playoffs. No one gave a damn. And maybe because of that, there wasn't a large offseason. It was still, a majority of the engine from 2018. But what you felt during the ALDS, the wild card game, the ALCS, all those things, the Red Sox took over the city again. Like you saw the support outside in the post game. You could even hear friggin' David Ortiz or Alex Rodriguez talk. Like that was as loud of a postseason post-game show as I've ever heard. And they just wouldn't stop. We remember the Kyle Schwarber homers, how loud Fenway sounded. It's been so long since you got any of that. But hey, you can be honest and say that was 24 months ago. It feels like a lifetime ago.
It really does.
A lifetime
It
ago.
really does.
But that was 24 months ago. If you go crazy this offseason, something you haven't done, for 5 years at this point, that can get maybe some of that hype building on opening day. Ultimately, it's going to be what you do in season, but it's there. It can be very quickly found. All you got to do is just spend the money and put the right pieces. Because just the hype alone of someone new entering, all the Chaim Bloom haters, as loud as they are, and they are the loudest bunch, getting a guy in here who does the opposite, hopefully he still cares about the other stuff, the farm system, has the analytical approach, all those other things. That's very key, but that will awaken something in this fan base that just hasn't been alive in years.
You know what?
It's still there. It's just dormant.
You know what?
It's not dead.
Something that just occurred to me now.
What?
I really want the Red Sox to have stars and add talent and all that. But I think one of the things that is missing, like think about some of the teams that you loved, right? Think about those 2007 Red Sox, right? Tight-knit group, cast of characters. You could tell that like they were buddies. They were great baseball players, but they had a chemistry. The Red Sox in 2004, the Idiots, they had chemistry. 2013, the Bearded Brothers, they had great chemistry. Now, I think what's really cool, you see the Marcelo Myers of the world posting Roman Anthony highlights. Like that next wave, like they're already boys. And you're not just talking about like, oh, there's a guy here and a guy there. It's like, no. Like you're talking about the top prospects in your system that are all like hyping each other up. Like you're kind of seeing that now with the Orioles, right? Like the Orioles, they're all super talented, but they all came up together. Like they look boys.
Like guys that they have played together for years, but
because they're appearing
at the big league level, right? Like that's what it looks like.
Yeah, like they have. Like they're all 25 and under. They've been playing together throughout the minors, and they're having a blast, just kicking the shit out of everybody. You could have that here, and as much as I would love to see the Red Sox involved in Juan Soto trade rumors and all that shit. Guess what that's going to cost? All the guys that we're talking about right now that are the stars of the future that could immediately inject that team chemistry, right? Like they've been playing together for years. They come up, they're all boys. They're all rooting for each other. If you go and like follow some of the top prospects on the Red Sox system on Instagram, they're all hyping each other up in the comments. Like it's great.
They're
like,
doing shit together. They go see Drake together. Like they're a crew.
That's what I'm waiting for. Like I feel like that you want to bring back fan interest. It is, you have your baseball diehards. Those are the sickos that are listening right now that are still like Tyler Milliken watching fucking Tampa Bay shove it up your ass when you're already mathematically eliminated. Those are the sickos. Those are the diehards. But how you get the casuals, the just, I love baseball, but I need a reason to watch. And I get it. I get it if you're not watching these games and that you don't really give a shit about the Red Sox right now. How you get those people back? It's like watching a reality TV show. Like you have a good team, you have a team that wins, but you care about the players. They're like, oh, like who's your favorite character on the show? Who's your favorite player on the team? Oh, I love this guy, but I love him because like they got like Andrew Benintendi and Brock Holt. Oh, the Flow Bros. Like they
Killer Bees.
Yeah, the Killer Bees. They love that they live together in spring training. So like they're best friends off the field. You can see it on the field. They got the little dance that they do. Like shit like that. Beyond just winning, beyond just having talent, because the Padres have talent. They don't win. There's teams that win that are boring. That's how you get the fans back. And I would venture to guess that the Red Sox, since firing Chaim Bloom, are well aware of the apathy that has taken over this fan base. And it's not, like I said, it's not universal. It's not across the board. But you're out of your fucking mind if you haven't noticed that a lot of people have stopped giving a shit about the Boston Red Sox. A lot of people. Not us, not you, because you're listening to a Red Sox podcast in a lost season. Again, another one, a 6th last place season. You're still listening to us talk about this fucking team. But, when you talk about the wild card game in 2021 and how that was the rowdiest crowd that probably since 2004, objectively speaking, the 2021 Red Sox Yankees wild card game was the rowdiest Fenway crowd since the 2004 American League Championship Series. That's what I miss. And when I brought up the Dodgers and their situation, okay, all right, they only have one title in a COVID shortened year, so like stop complaining because you have 4 World Series titles since 2004. But it's almost like a plane with no runway. Like you can't take off. You can't, like, all right, I'm not going to sit here and complain that the Red Sox didn't win the World Series in 2021, but you built up this momentum with the wild card game and the dancing on my own. And it's like, all right, we love this group. Like, this is fucking great. And like, it's like in wrestling, building the storyline. Daniel Bryan keeps trying to win the WWE title, and then he keeps getting stopped by this person, or he loses this match, and eventually it builds up to winning at WrestleMania. Like, it's like the Red Sox will win the World Series and then suck for a few years, and it's like, all right, now the next time that they're going for it, it's completely different players, it's a completely different core. Like, you're already rebuilding. You've suffered through this general manager gets fired, like this player gets traded because he doesn't give a shit anymore, and you have this hit piece out on like this player gets benched because they're not giving a shit. Like, there's no runway. It's just championship fucking crash. Like it would, I'm not saying that it would be more fun. I would just I would enjoy it quite a bit. Maybe I'm being selfish, maybe I'm being entitled, but how much is it to ask to just have like, no, I'm not even asking for what the Braves fans are enjoying right now. 6 straight division titles, winning a World Series in 2021, having one of the best offenses maybe of all time this year. Ronald Acuna Jr., 40 homers, 70 stolen bases, first player ever to do that. I'm not asking for that. I'm not asking for that. Just if you're going to have a good season, can we fucking build off of that? Or is every time we have a good season, is it going to be followed by fucking misery? Like, not even borderline enjoyable baseball. It's like 2018, winningest team in franchise history. And then 2019 is just like, this fucking sucks. 2020, these aren't even real baseball players. 2021, LCS, woo, dancing on my own, woo, woo. 2 last place seasons. It's like, can we fucking get any runway at all? That would be nice. That's all I'm asking for.
That's why 2022 hurt so much to me, like in terms of me viewing that year, because I really believed it was, all right, listen, you made it to 2021. You saw they got to the ALCS. You reset the luxury tax. The farm was improving, still not to the point where you could make a ton, but you had money to spend. And I thought they were going to go there. I didn't think they were going to go a couple million over the luxury tax. I thought we were going to see, 260, 270. They were going to push like an organization that was trying to win the World Series. That didn't happen. And I think that entire misstep, everything that happened at the deadline, it just kind of all stopped the momentum, the build of what was supposed to be this rebuild on the go, compete at the same time. You could see the vision and how it was all supposed to come together. But one failed year in 2022 set you back another year. And that's what this year ultimately was, right? I think when you're talking about that apathy, the casual fan, people get confused. We're Red Sox diehards. We show up, we watch every game. We're the minority. We are by far the minority. Joe Blow, who shows up to the ballpark 2 or 3 times a year. Not that I should talk, because I am that guy who shows up physically twice. Mm-hmm. But, the casual fan who's just like, I like baseball. I watch the Red Sox when I can. I throw them on the TV. I'm a fan. I can't see every game. I have a job, yada, yada. This isn't my life, but I am a fan. I love the Boston Red Sox. Those are the guys that, make up a majority, and women that make a majority of this fan base up. They are what a majority of baseball fans are, right? And that's kind of what you market towards. That's kind of what you look for as your tone. Us who talk about this every day, who know all the ins and outs, while they care what we think, we're not really the ones that they're continuously speaking to. They speak to the casual people who are going to buy a ticket, who are going to show up and be that regular fan on a day-to-day, regular life basis, not people who eat, breathe, and die on this shit. So I think that's where the messaging gets a little mixed up at times, where you get surprised when they're doing things or appealing or, trying to get that part of the fan base to care. And it's constantly that battle, because you see Red Sox Twitter. You think a majority of Red Sox fans are on Red Sox Twitter? No, it's a fucking very small minority of people who sit here and argue, and we talk free agents and we do all that shit. It is a very interesting disconnect. I think where the homegrown conversation gets funny or weird, I think Chaim Bloom was very into that idea you spoke of that entire wave coming up here, blooming together, that foundation and giving it time. I think that explains why maybe he was as patient as he was at this past trade deadline. I do think what kind of happened with this firing is there is going to be some of those guys that aren't going to be here. That's the reality of it. And that's part of having to be a GM and make those tough moves. But Nick York, are you going to be here? Kind of hard to picture it, right? We talk Abreu, Rafael, Duran. 1 or 2 of you guys going to get shipped out for the right deal this offseason? Potentially. So I think you will get some of that Roman Anthony, right? I think Roman Anthony by the end of the year is going to be most people's number 1 prospect in the Red Sox system. I really do believe that. And I think Marcelo is going to fall back to 2. That's not me telling you should trade Marcelo or anything like that. But, certain things become a bigger conversation with these prospects and all that. I think we're going to start to see some of those pieces pulled out because it takes years. When Roman Anthony gets up here, is he going to be a star right away? No, it takes time to grow at this level.
I actually think he will be.
Day one, you think he's going to dominate?
I mean, there are rare examples, and just seeing him exist, kind of like there are dudes.
Aura.
Yeah, so I hate to use him as an example because I like him, but Jared Kelenic, one of the more talented prospects to come through a minor league system in quite some time. A little bit of a cocky kid, and you knew it. And when he got called up, didn't exactly work out the way that he had planned to at first. That's what happens when you got everyone sucking your dick and you're the savior of 2 different franchises. You're involved in a big, big trade. So you're like, damn, man, I got traded for one of the fucking best pitchers in baseball. So there you can kind of sense it with some guys where it's like, all right, this guy's going to face some adversity, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. And Kelenic, before he got hurt this year, I mean, that's a kid that it's like, all right, now we see it. Now he's succeeding at this level. We knew he would, but it's just a matter of when. With Roman Anthony's got this quiet confidence about him. He's got James Bond energy to him.
He told you he wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised with everything that happened to me this year. I put in the work.
Yeah.
And he has the kind of skill set that can get you to the big leagues when you control the strike zone like you do. But I think anyone who's trying to be a front office guy or be realistic, you can't depend on those guys right away to show up and give it to you, right? You need to plan as if there is going to be some kind of growing pain. Mike Trout in 2011. Go back and look at Mike Trout's numbers in 2011 before 2012, right? A majority of guys, there's going to be some adjustment period. But, depending on someone like Roman Anthony, he's not going to be 20 to next May? Like, as crazy as that sounds, all right, maybe that's the guy you cling to. I just think that homegrown wave, you are going to pick some parts of it. You just can't pick all of it. You need the consistent pipeline. It's somewhere in the middle. I think Bloom was very into the idea of a majority of that coming through. I think now you're going to see them cherry pick certain names and be able to say, we don't like that guy as much. That profile doesn't speak to me. And then maybe it even changes more if they say, we didn't get we didn't get Nola. We didn't get, maybe Yamamoto didn't happen. We need to make some kind of serious trade. And that would be a big problem because you have money to spend. But I think it's going to be more of pulling from some of that stuff moving forward. And I think it's something they're going to have to do. You just have to do both. That's the best way to go about it.
Jake, how do you feel about what's going on with your Boston Red Sox right now?
I mean, the craziest part I was thinking about is Tyler and I have been here for 2 years and we haven't even done one playoff podcast.
Yeah.
Like we've done 128 episodes and literally nothing happened.
Nothing. We've done 128 episodes, and I would say there was genuine excitement after like 3 of them.
Like where we felt like, this could be a turning point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, what's like the most hype we've been on a podcast?
Man.
Sweeping
like
the Braves
after we
swept
probably
the Blue Jays earlier this year.
But even that sweep of the time, it felt
what
like you were like pulling
going
yourself
on with
to
your
survive.
internet right now, Tyler?
Mine?
What the fuck is going on with your internet? Yeah, yours.
I see everyone okay.
We can't see you.
At all? Jake,
No.
You can't see me either?
Can't see you. Now this is like once a pod with him.
Yeah.
Every fucking episode. Hello?
Hello.
You can hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah.
What does this? Never
like
had
one-
an issue until the last month.
Yeah, once an episode now.
Where were we?
I don't remember now.
Jake was talking.
Oh, Jake was talking. Yeah.
Do we have anything
Were
else
you-
we want to
did you-
head on?
No.
Somehow we did 2 hours again.
Yeah.
Fuck us.
We apologize for Tyler's technical difficulties. That's what happens when you have.
Dude, I
Brockton
don't know if my...
internet. What?
Whoa. Yeah, you know what?
Whoa.
Speaking of fucking
Whoa.
Brockton, whoever wrote that very mean post on the subreddit about this city, spreading a lot of lies about what's going on in
What?
Brockton these days.
What's going on in Brockton right now?
People were just shitting on. They were like, someone from who wasn't around from Massachusetts or whatever, probably, some other part of the country or maybe around the world, was like,
Yeah.
can someone describe what Brockton is like to me? And the way they described it was very unkind and very unflattering. It didn't highlight
It's like
some of the
Afghanistan.
pros.
It's like Baghdad.
Whoa, Jesus. No.
What?
Hold on. Let me pull up
do you
this
mean?
disrespectful little post. You think it's like Afghanistan here?
Yeah, kind of.
Here we go. What is Brockton like? So I'm not from New England and don't have much insight to the area. It's just the way Tyler acts intrigues me as to why and how the area he grew up in contributed to that. First off, how I act? Troubling. Brockton is one of the shittiest places in the entire state. It is among the top crime rates alongside the likes of New Bedford, Boston, Worcester, Holyoke. Its violent crime rating is 32 or 52.8. The national average is 22.7. Brockton sucks. Don't let Tyler tell you it's nice because it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely not nice.
Depends on what you consider nice. There's nice parts of Brockton.
No.
For people who are familiar with Brockton, I live in the suburb area around the Kennedy Elementary School.
Mhm.
We're a nice neighborhood. We have our problems like everybody else.
Yeah. That's
But
usually
hey,
what shitty town people say.
Brockton is old school. We handle our business old school.
So you kill
Brockton Mafia, people have talked about it. Not saying I'm part of it. I'm not saying I'm not part of it.
people. Okay.
But you pull up in this city, watch what happens.
There was a request for Martha to appear on the podcast. Would she oblige?
I actually talked to her about this, and she said she would.
She would.
She would come on, but I don't think I should be there, or I should be off the mic.
Yeah. I think if we had Martha on the podcast, we would have to do like a segment where we opened up the questions to like Twitter.
We need to do that in general.
I agree.
I've been meaning to talk to you about this, and I keep forgetting.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do like down in the DM.
But yeah, Martha said she'd come on. She listened to the last episode and heard my stories about Stephanie. I had never talked to her about Stephanie, so this was a very new thing for her to hear.
Did she also consider that you killed Stephanie?
She said it did sound pretty bad.
Yeah, it did.
But I've yet to do anything to Martha to make her think I'd kill her. So, she doesn't have much ground to stand on.
Well, that doesn't mean that you won't kill again.
Things can always go sideways.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you're just like lulling her into a false sense of security to make her feel safe so that you can eventually kill her.
Sometimes the payoff of just waiting really does it for me.
Yeah, it's the element of surprise, the look of shock when she realizes, I really thought I was going to be the girl that he didn't kill, but you did.
I've been edging myself for 5 years here.
Jesus.
Sorry. Cut that out, Jake. People must think I am a really sick person. I'm normal, I promise.
You are putrid.
Putrid?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
You are. Fuck you.
What's a word I could describe Jared as? Hold on.
Amazing.
Let me pull out the thesaurus. No, I wouldn't go with that. How about
you are deplorable?
You are putrescent.
I'm sorry?
Rancid.
You're just trying to use a thesaurus to hurt my feelings.
I'm not reading a thesaurus.
Yeah, you are.
It's called Collins Dictionary. All these are the same fucking words.
I got a text message from one of the Clark's Ketchup MVP voters. And
wow.
This individual asked, what the fuck are you guys going to talk about on the podcast tonight? And I said, we're 45 minutes in and we're just getting started. And lo and behold, we're about to hit that 2-hour mark. Every time I look up, I'm like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're just going to get cooking and see what happens. And there you go. 2-hour podcast. Always happens.
No phone calls on this episode either. This is just strictly Jared and Tyler.
I didn't want to talk to anyone. I did want to talk about knockaround sunglasses, though, because summer may be over, but the sun is still shining, and you need a great pair of shades that you don't have to baby. Knockaround sunglasses is the go-to for quality polarized shades that won't break the bank. Plus, they just released the first set of teams of their official MLB collection, including the Red Sox and the Yankees. Don't be the guy that's squinting into the sun or worried about messing up your expensive shades. Playoffs are around the corner, and Knockaround will have you looking fresh for all the action. Check out knockaround.com for great-looking polarized shades starting at just $28. And if you use the promo code ROCKET, that will get you free shipping on your order. Remember last October how we talked about doing like a haunted house, but we never did it?
Oh yeah. Wow, that's a long time ago. I forgot about it.
I can't believe it's already been a year.
Me and you have been dating for a long time.
We have been. This is year 2 years together. Do you have any now that it's like basically the end of your second season, do you have any thoughts?
First off, I'm very thankful for everyone who has kind of accepted me into the family. I know it wasn't always the easiest transition. I know there's some people that still are like, I miss what Section 10 was or whatever it is.
Do you
it's
still
something
feel
different.
Like the new guy?
Yeah, I think I'll always feel that a little bit, maybe until we have our first like winning season. That might be what really kind of switches it up, where I can like, we can do events more and some of that stuff plays a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I know for a lot of people, they miss that original Section 10. I see the post. I'm not crazy, but I do know so many people who have really accepted me in, that have considered me part of the family through the weirdness, through the jokes, all the different shit we do, listening to us rant, nerd stats, whatever it may be. I do feel very welcomed.
Mm-hmm.
I so badly want that winning season to feel what the highest levels of the podcast can reach, but I couldn't be more thankful. I love coming to do this show twice a week when we do it. I'm excited to see what, next year, this offseason could bring, where we have these different elements coming in. But yeah, the support, the people who listen, there's nobody fucking better. As much as we talk about the subreddit and all the stuff that happens with it, there's just a special love that comes from this crew, and I love working with you.
I'm very excited for you to experience your first like winning season live show type thing.
Dying for it.
Brother, preach. Imagine being like in a fucking band, but you can only like randomly go on tour like random years. It's like, yeah, we just put out a new album. When are you going to tour? Don't know. Don't know. Maybe next year, maybe the year after. Could be 4 years from now. Don't know. I don't know.
And the years you're touring are like the same years like Drake and Beyonce are on tour, so nobody fucking cares about you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Shit, like everyone else is watching, the Braves or the Dodgers. Like, oh, well, we're here. Come to our show.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, I really am thankful to be part of this thing, and I hope I continue to melt in and play a part, and you guys learn more about the weird stories, because trust me, we've just started. There's a lot of crazy shit that has also happened that I've yet to talk about.
That's what troubles me, is how do I tap into that? I don't want to know. I want to organically tap into it, but I just know that there's a lot left in the tank.
It just comes out with time.
Yeah.
I want to say shout out to Corey. Obviously helps us with the graphics, but as dedicated of a listener as we have, sent me some cool stuff. I've already showed the guys. I posted it on Twitter. We got a Chaim Bloom signed ball with a rest in peace bullet on it. So Chaim has acknowledged Bullet's death. And speaking of our boy Roman Anthony, we also have a signature as well right there. So that's going to be Roman my retirement when he wins the 2027 AL MVP.
Since we're giving end of the year shout out to Connor. He helps with the notes for the Stop and Shop Look Ahead. He's been doing that for a few years now. It's fucking
love
awesome.
You, C-Dog.
Yep. Shout out to C-Dog. Shout out to J-Dog and B-Dog for helping out with the highlights. You remember J-Dog who filled in for Jake for one episode and did not click with T-Dog at all.
He was beefing with me. I tried to extend the arm.
Nah, J-Dog's not like confrontational like that. If
tell him to shut his fucking AC off.
See, that's you. That's you being a bad person. But shout out to B-Dog and J-Dog for cranking out the highlights for us. Shout out to C-Dog for the Stop and Shop Look Ahead notes.
What about a shout out to you? As me and Jake, I missed one episode this season. Jake also missed one episode. Jared, you were here for every single one.
That's kind of like a Cal Ripken streak, though. Like, I feel like
it needs to be acknowledged.
Acknowledge me.
Deserve.
I have never missed an episode of Section 10, of Name Redacted, of Starting 9, of Baseball is Dead. I've never missed an episode. But there's definitely like some Cal Ripken Jr. to it, where it's like, oh, I can't do 11. Can you guys do 9? Like there's like a lot of shuffling around of times so that I can make it. But I mean, I'm not going to sit here and suck my own dick about doing my job.
That's what you do. You show up. You post.
Best
you post
ability
every day.
is availability, and I'm available. I got no fucking life. Just out
should
here.
Should we reveal our off-season plan?
What's our off-season plan?
our schedule, what the podcast is going to turn into after this upcoming Sunday, so people know.
What are we gonna do?
Wednesdays, but we're not taking a break or anything like
Oh
that.
yeah. A break? No.
This is probably going to be as crazy of an October just because of the front office situation that you could ask for. Last year, there was really nothing to talk about because those guys were staying.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to be getting rumors like crazy once the season ends because it's going to be the only thing to talk about.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot. So we figure Wednesdays make sense. I think, for big news, emergency pods are back on. If something breaks on like a Thursday or a Friday or something like that, emergency pod. Like we're not waiting until fucking Wednesday. Like we can do like a little quickie. We'll figure it out. Because I feel like it's going to be one of those off seasons. You're going to have to be playing the role of Red Sox fireman. You're going to have to be able to slide down the pole and on a moment's notice.
How many emergency pods do we have this offseason? I'm going to go 3.
I was going to say 3, yeah.
I think that's the number.
That's what you're hoping for, right? You're hoping for like Yamamoto. You're hoping for Nola. You're hoping for a trade.
Yeah, a major trade, and that doesn't even include the hire when it happens, or if it's a promotion.
The hire. Yeah, I mean, because the Verdugo trade probably coming. So there's probably going to be more. There's probably going to be more because you get the hire, you get 2 signings, you get a trade. So I would take the over on 3.5 emergency.
I like it.
It's gonna be a busy offseason.
As it should be. I do want to say, whoever sent the Tony Soprano impression that I did last episode to the Sports Hub, thank you, because I had to do it on air today.
Someone sent that to the Sports Hub?
They were like, guys, you have no idea what's been happening on Name Redacted. Tyler's talking about putting out hits. I had to reveal the media members I dreamt about killing.
Who were they?
Dan Shaughnessy.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to hurt these people. I want to make this very clear. This was a dream.
This is just a dream.
It was John Tomasi.
Okay.
Adam Himmelsbach.
Who the fuck is that?
He's a Celtics beat writer we talk about on Zolak and Bertrand all the time because he had beef with Zoe. Like the stupidest, smallest beef. But it's
I don't know who that is, but if you got beef with Zoe, you got beef with me now.
Bang. The last one,
Himmelsbach.
Tim. Yeah. The last one, Tim Britton, which is just so weird. Tim Britton, but obviously
I had beef with Tim Britton.
I didn't know that.
Remember the Steve from Weymouth video? He unfollowed me after that.
Holy shit. Mm-hmm. You were right.
Mm-hmm.
But I was reading a piece from him in The Athletic recently, so I think that's why it was in my psyche the way it was.
Got it.
No murderous dream since then, though, involving, people.
That's good. That's good.
For now.
Catillo had no idea what we were talking about when people were tweeting at him that he was going to make it to the big leagues. He was very confused about that.
Did he go back and listen, or did he just accept?
He doesn't give a fuck. That fucking dipshit.
Whoever posted the food picture with him saying they gave him all that food and then he was trying to justify it on Twitter was very funny.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No, I don't care.
He claimed that the catering lady told him to take all the food because she wanted to close up for the night.
Sure, dude. Sure. I don't know why this feels like a last episode of the season. We have one more series to go.
Yeah, I think
we're just like, all right, yeah,
we're done.
Just roll the tape. Just roll the credits. Going to Baltimore for 4 is it's not where you want to be. But no. Jake's takes.
You pretty much just said what my take was. I was going to say it's kind of crazy. We're just giving end of the year shout outs and season ends on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. We still got one more. We got one more.
Well,
left.
It'll be like a celebration on Sunday, maybe.
That it's finally over?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
It's like that relief sometimes after a funeral.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, I don't have to worry about this anymore.
It's over. You know what? Now that the season's over, that means I can get back in the gym. I'm going to put on like 25 pounds of muscle this offseason.
I'll put on 30.
We know.
Muscle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jake, cut that.
Yeah. Keep that in, Jake.
Cut that, Jake.
I got way too many DMs asking if I have diabetes recently.
Do you?
No.
Oh, I'm just asking.
Not that there's anything wrong. Nick Jonas has diabetes.
Is he he's one of the Jonas Brothers?
No.
No.
He's part of the
Ugh.
Spice Girls.
All right, we're done. We're done.
Thank you. Get bodied, kid.
Get bodied.
What happened to Bullet?
He died.
We'll be back on Sunday. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you then. Bye.
Buenas noches, amigos.